Hi everyone, welcome to D2C Chronicles, a new series where we talk to students, working professionals, as well as people who have made some achievements. Today we have Amir Iqbal with us. I'm Bangalore 2020 pass out. He participated in about 30, I mean, not 13, but many different competitions. And he has winning titles in about 13 competitions or so. And he's one of the most D2C competitive leader 2020. And soon he'll be joining Amazon. The second guest that we have today is Yushman Sikka. He's from IMS Mumbai, and he'll be joining BCN Bain and Company. His winning titles include the poster boy of B School Engagements, HUL Line Season 11, and he was also the winning his winning streak continued with Asian Paints Canvas as well. And the third guest, who will soon join us in any time now, is Sampath Heldar. His also winning titles include HUL Lime Season 11, as well as he was runners-up for Bajaj Finserv Atom. He's from IIM Indore, and he'll be joining PwC now. All these three actually command some sort of celebrity status in their campuses, having shown their mettle across many competitions. Today, we will basically be asking them about their winning mantra in terms of what it takes to win so many competitions. How do they decide on that winning mantra? How do they decide on the team members that they participate in? How do they go about tracking all these case study competitions? Thank you so much, Ayushman, Amir, and Sambit for joining us. First, let me start with Amir, and I will come to Ayushman and Sambit for the same questions. So, uh, there are numerous corporate competitions now that happen in the B school market. Our analysis show that last year there were about 150 different corporate competitions that were organized by top recruiters outside of the premier competitions that are student organized by the all the colleges under their college festivals. Now, as a student, you can't really participate in all the competitions in your academic journey. Then the question is that how do you choose which competitions to participate in? Amit, do you have
Yeah,
any parameter to choose those competitions that you would want to participate in?
yeah. So, first of all, thank you, Ankit, for providing this opportunity. As you rightly pointed out, that and also as per my experience, there will be multiple competitions throughout the year, and one will have to necessarily choose between one of them, as it is not possible to participate in all of them and provide a good quality of submission to each of them. So the parameters could be decided on the basis of comfort, personal comfort with the problems, like it is in the area of supply chain, organizational design, strategy. So for my case and my team, we were good in strategy, so we mostly went with the strategy competitions. And the other aspect of these competitions is the corporates organize this competition to identify their potential employers in future on whom they can bet. And it is also a way to corporates through PPIs and PPOs. So if anyone has any inclination towards any company, for example, TAS or Reliance, because they might not be able to get direct shortlist based on their CVs. So it is a way to get into the eyes of the corporates. And then, so these are the broad two parameters if one has to choose.
Okay, okay. And what about you, Ayushman? How do you select competitions?
So I believe that initially it can be same for every B school student that there is a pre-placement interview opportunity, or maybe the buzz is too much on the campus, and there is a good winning amount as well that is associated. But as you go through your B school journey, when you identify that these are my expertise areas, and like for me personally, I would like to work upon FMCG or any marketing plan. So I identified that, and based on that only, I used to choose that. Okay, this is something that I really want to begin with.
Okay, so one, Amit, you want to choose strategy and Ayushman marketing. What about you, Sambit? How do you choose competitions?
First of all, I want to thank you, Ankit, for the opportunity to share my experience here. And
Mhm.
yes, obviously, like what Amir and Ayushman said, I had a few domain preferences. Like I wanted to go into either sales and marketing or consulting. So mainly I participated in those competitions which are based on these two domains. And the second thing was also that availability of time. I mean, there are
Mhm.
competitions which fall in between our exams or project deadlines, and things become very hectic. So we know that we will not be able to give enough time to do the solution or etc. So we let them go. So based on our timing and also our availability and also the prize money and the grandeur of the competition also plays an important role. Like if you rightly pointed out that HUL Lime, it is one of the uh, most popular
Poster
case
boys.
competition
Yeah.
out there. All the big brands, so we always try to participate in those competitions which are very popular and also have a huge prize money.
Sure. So all of you did mention about emphasis on the prize money as well, but for us, I think what we believe students do participate in prize money comes a distant third. The first two parameters, one is buzz on campus, and the second is the relevance for your growth opportunities, right? And specifically the PPIs as such, the
Yeah.
PPIs and PPOs. So tell me something when we think about strategy, Amir, because you mentioned strategy. Last year, I was speaking to one of a gentleman from IIM Lucknow, who is right now working with McKinsey, and he was actually at the same stage as you are, Amir. And his thought process was that he wanted to participate in competitions across different domains, marketing, strategy, operations, just to showcase to the recruiter that, hey, I have domain knowledge of all these, and I've actually experienced different things, and I'm sort of jack of all trades rather than an expert of none. Do you think that basically is a right strategy to go forward rather than, let's say, when I'm talking about Anshuman only working in marketing because he only wants to focus on marketing, but you want to focus on strategy. So then, wouldn't you want to have a participation across? A diverse set of competitions, and that's what I see from your profile as well. I mean, 13, all of them are diverse.
Yeah, so as you rightly pointed out, so it is one of the boost in CV if you are able to showcase your skills in various domains. So for
Mhm.
me personally, I tried all the competitions except some because my partners were really excellent. Vishwajit was there, who is a second competitive leader. He is best in strategy, and then we have what do you say, partners on rotational basis who were good in marketing or had some interest in business plans or had some startups. So as a
Mhm.
result of that, we were able to participate in all of the competitions, and we tried to give our what do you say, best product that we can do in the given time frame. So
Yeah.
in that case, if you want to participate, so basically one person cannot have the all the uh, skills, and that to a level in which you can really give a meaningful solution to the corporate. So if you have a right mix of people in your team, and with upon multiple discussions and iterations of problem, you can actually frame a solution which could be really executed on the stage of implementation, or that could be executed by any of the corporates.
Okay. So that brings me to the next question. Since you mentioned about the team members or so, and I also see that in Dare to Compete Awards, the top four competitive leaders are actually from IIM Bangalore: Amir, Vishwajit, Kundan, and Pratiksha. And I think with some of them, you have already formed teams and you did participate in multiple competitions, right? So
Okay.
Ayushman, my next question is to you because I think Amir did sort of mention that in his conversation. But how do you choose your team members? Because they are also critical to winning a competition, and every competition is different, and you may create separate teams for separate kind of competitions.
Sure. So Ankit, initially when we used to make our teams, we always thought that we want one person from the strategy, one from the finance, or someone who can do the analysis, and someone who is good at marketing, or maybe the presentation skills. But I, you know, through my experience, I have gained this skill or this insight that the most important thing within a team or selection of a team is how much you can trust upon the team members, and how well you bond with each other. Because what happens is that, let's say if we talk about Lime, it was a 4 to 5 month long competition. People lose motivation within the length of the competition, and that you do not want, because you have done so much of work. So I personally believe that the motivation level of the people has to be on the same page. So how much you can trust upon them, that is a very important issue. Now that I have brought this point, I would like to mention that, when I had my Asian Paints national finale, on the same day, I was sitting on my day, and I get up in the evening. I have my HUL finale as well, like campus round, and it was all the team effort, because of which I could actually be there for both the competition. I was ready, and we aced both the competitions. So I think the most important thing within a team is how much you can depend upon each other, and how you gel up with each other. And I think everything else for me came secondary.
Okay. Now, since you gave that example of you were participating in HUL Lime as well as Asian Paints, and for both of them, one of their rounds were clashing on the same date. I'm assuming that you were participating with different teams with
Yes.
both of them, correct?
Yeah.
And that actually gives you an advantage, because the other team members were able to participate on behalf of you for the other competition, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
does it also, I mean, from the rules and eligibility point of view, I know in many of the competitions, there is always a rule that even if one member is present, they can actually go ahead with that round. Is that true for most of the competitions that you guys have participated in?
I think minimum two are required.
Minimum two.
And in
Okay.
some special case, there can be allowance for one member
One.
as well. But yeah, minimum I have seen two.
Okay, nice. All
Yeah.
right.
So
So for
yeah,
Ayushman, it is trust and bond. What about you, Samit?
Yes, it was a good blend of blends, depending on the type of competition, and also gender diversity also played an important role. It's not all the boys or all the girls, and I also with first year team members too. That I have only worked with the second year batchmates. So for me, it is team should consist of members who have skills, around marketing, someone who view creative ideas. Yes, someone take from the stage. I mean, important thing. I mean, many people who to take questions and give answer, or in the campus final, or in the national final. So they have that stage. Someone who is very good at PPT making, whose communication skill is very good, and overall there should be a good bonding and good understanding between the team members. And as Ayushman pointed out, that there should be good amount of motivation and seriousness among the team members, because I have seen that when there is some project or any assignment, that people lose interest in doing case competition work. So they try to rely on their other team members, and they try to pass those work to the others. So in that case, one person has to take a lot of responsibility, and it's a burden for him. So in that case, the plan goes into a toss. And the last thing is that you have to manage your time and plan your entire work after discussing with your team members. So when you decide a particular team member, it's always advisable that someone you are comfortable with. And initial initial purposes, I relied on my known people. But as the season went ahead, there were some finalists from other competition. So they have already have the idea that what it takes to make into a campus finals or crack a case competition. So I also wanted to do my case competition with them who has reached campus finals or above in other competitions. So it was a good blend of 14, 15 people across first year and second year with different skill sets, and you choose your members based on the competition and the requirement. That's it.
So what I hear, Samit, and I think I'll ask my team to sort of fix your mic as well. So I mean, But just for the audience, I'll give you his mantra. One, he's saying that your team needs to be diverse. When diverse in terms of the gender diversity, people who have already participated in other competitions, and across year one and year two as well. In some competitions, you will find value across all these, diverse mix of attachments. And Samit, 15 team members across these competitions. That's a lot. I've not seen people working with so many people for different competitions or so. Amit, I'll come next to you. I mean, how do you choose your team members?
So, as Ayushman pointed out, it is very important to have good understanding between the team members, because it is very important to have a good equation with all the team members throughout the years. And even if you, there will be negative moments where you have unfortunate situations, and there may be disruptions in the team. So, it is very important to have a person who has the basic people skill to engage all the team members throughout the competitions. So, I'll share my example. So, in my case, myself and Viswajit had similar aspirations to participate in most of the competitions, and we used the term that we had fire in the belly, and we kept it alive throughout the year. But we really struggled to find the third person as a permanent member. It is ideal and advisable to make a team at the beginning of the session, because you over a period of time you get to used to your team, and then accordingly plan your work. But even if you are not able to, so we were not able to find anyone with good hold over finances. But there is that is not the end of the day. So we have to be flexible enough to acquire new skills, because in our case Vishwajit was flexible enough to acquire skills of financials. And then, given my past work case, I didn't had much idea of making presentations, but I tried to learn those skills in my first year. And in second year, I was the one who used to teach PPT skills to my team members, and then collate the presentation from all of my team members, and to give it a final shape. So it is very important to have a right mix. But again, it is very important to have a good understanding, because if you have good understanding between the team members, then over a discussion and maybe with the interaction with multiple people and team effort, you may get to find a reasonable solution to the problem.
Okay, nice. And I see some of the comments here, and we will dive into all the questions towards the end. One question that was in the comments is, does it help if the team members have work ex, or if he or she is a fresher? Does a perspective on your previous work ex help in cracking the competitions?
Okay. So, ideally, if you have workers in a particular field, so in one of the competitions, I remember in Optum, it is a problem. It is a company which is in pharmaceuticals, and the problem statement is also in that medical area, and that is too specified in US market. So, if someone is having any particular experience, even it is of 1 year or 2 year or 6 months, so you have a basic idea, and within the given time frame, it is very difficult to really get into the details of those areas and to pick the fine skills of that area. So even if one person has basic understanding and some past knowledge of that area, it is really helpful. And with the, what do you say, again, discussion with the team members, with having a basic idea, you get to draft the bigger solution. And
Okay.
one of the other points that has been raised, diversity in the team also plays a good role.
Okay. Okay. Aishwan, you had some points.
Yeah, so I think it does help to some extent that if you have some prior work experience, but again, if even if you are a fresher, like I am a fresher, and in my HUL team, two of us were freshers, and we didn't have any as such a good experience in the FMCG industry as such. But again, what it boils down to is how much you are willing to give it to the competition, how much research you want to do, and I think that works out really well. So even for Asian Paints as well, two of us were freshers, and no one actually knew anything about the paint industry. So we went down and we talked to the dealers, to the carpenters, to architects, designers, customers, and I think it's okay if you, even if you do not have any prior work experience in any particular industry. But again, the most important aspect for me, it has always been the team.
The team. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, let's come to the next question. So there are different kind of competitions when it comes to the different structure. Okay, so some competitions like HULIM are pure play case study competitions where you need to actually understand the case and crack it. The second type of competitions are B plan competitions like Reliance, the Ultimate Pitch, where they don't give you a problem statement, but you need to sort of solve that a big problem so that you can actually work on your business plan, and Reliance is happy to look at it. The third is Aditya Birla Group status, which is nothing but more like a simulation game competition where you're actually working with the other teams within the campus or outside the campus, and you're actually hitting them head on virtually. So it's like a more intellectual video game, and you're managing teams. And there are quizzing competitions, there are other competitions also. So according to you guys, which kind of competition best get you to be more thought provoking, I mean channelizes your thought process really well, and from the corporate's point of view, which kind of competition should they be throwing out to students? Amit, do you want to go
So
first? Yeah.
Yeah. So the question that you have asked, it is very important to understand the expectation of various corporates and work accordingly. So some companies would expect for identification of issues in their basic processes and solution for them, which could be implemented easily within a time frame and within their budgets. But as you highlighted the point example of Reliance TOP, they give importance to disruptive ideas. Moreover, I'll share my personal example of Reliance TOP. They have a structure of 3 minutes of video presentation and 3 minutes for pitching the ideas. And most of us repeat the same, do the same, what do you say, error, and we keep on repeating the content in both of the video presentation and pitching. While Reliance expects us to present our ideas using clip and pitch in a complementary way. So for that, in that to what do you say, to tackle that aspect, one has to reach with to the last year winners of the various competition to understand the expectation of the companies. And talking about the which companies should be which type of problems should company be floating, so I think there should be a mix, because if all the companies try to adopt a similar approach of case study, so as on the receiving side as a student, I'll have to access only type to a same type of problem. So as being the virtue of different what do you say, framework of different competitions, we get exposed to different type of competition. And in the future in business, when you go to work as a professional, so you don't have a limited problems, you can be thrown to any problems in any of day. So having a good framework of competition, different type of competition from corporates, is actually helpful to the students.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Aishman? What about your thoughts?
I think I completely agree with Amir, and he has covered most of the points. Just
Mhm.
to add on one particular point, I think the case study format, it just opens the candidate to different industry knowledge. So let's say for in our second year, the first competition was from AB and Bev. So I think I got a lot of knowledge about the alco bev industry as such. We went to bars, we went to pubs, and we got to know how brewery actually works. So that was a totally different industry. Then we are covering the paint industry, then FMCG, and recently I was working on Paytm, so it is a fintech industry. So I think the case study format just opens up a candidate to a wide variety of industries.
Okay. Next, let's dive into all these competitions. Okay, let's talk about what kind of a research happens when you're actually working on a competition. What are your various steps when you're actually getting into that competition mode? That hey, I need to devise a solution. How do you find a problem? And then what kind of a framework that you work with? Let's dive next 10 to 15 minutes into for both of you into what is your winning mantra in terms of getting diving into the competition.
Sure.
Amir, you want to begin?
Okay, so I'll take this question. So
Mhm.
every competition, I will talk mostly about the normal case studies. So it has basic structures related to primary research, secondary research, and then competitive analysis of the present situation and the problem that has been at our hand, and to devise a strategy for them and to implement along with the financial implication. And also, not all the solutions that we propose can be implemented. So there will be some technological or challenges in adoption. So it is very important to give proper attention to all these segments that I have explained. And the most important, as you told, like as someone has told, like if you are given 1 hour, try to spend 55 minutes in doing research about the problem, understanding the problem, and then give 5 minutes to frame the solution. So accordingly, I will say, if you give more time towards research and by talking to, what do you say, experts, talking to users, and if you are able to reach to the corporates, that also helps. So this is very important for any competition, that you have to really throw yourself into the research, and with the help of this research only, you would be able to find the problem that is there and which could be solved. And then you have, when you come across the competitive analysis, then you are able to, if you relate those primary and secondary research of yourself along with the competitive scenario as of now, you, most of us will be able to come to some of the pain points that are there and which corporates are looking to resolve. And if you are if you are able to identify those basic pain problems of the corporates, we are already in their eyes, and it is one of the basic winning strategies, that you are able to identify the problem. And then comes the what do you say, solution. So for any solution, you have to be present a strategy that is end to end. And the best framework that I use, it was 4P. It is most of the basic marketing framework, but it is the most powerful framework. And the another framework that I used was 2x2, just for market growth, market entry, market strategy. That is one of the important frameworks. But still, I would like to spend some time on 4P. So whenever you devise any strategy or anything, so I will give the example of Palmolive Colgate. They were given a problem of making their brand a mega brand in our country. So you have to think of the products that is lacking in their portfolio, and then you have to come up with new products that could be actually in complement with their existing product, and they can use their, what is a business setup or infrastructure, whatever they have, and their skills. And then again, devising the place where it needs to be promoted, it is important. Devise the promotion strategies, marketing strategies that is to be there, and finally the price that is to be uh, devised. So if you are able to frame whatever strategy you have in 4Ps, it is very important. And last but not the least, so in many of the competition, most of us are able to frame some mind-blowing solutions, but actually we fail to realize the financial implication. But in corporates, for everything they have a financial budget. So it is very important for every one of us who are participating in the competition to do a financial analysis and of the solutions that you're proposing, and whether it is realizable. Even if it is not realizable, so it will show the what do you say, corporates, that you have actually given a thought to that end. So I think these are my pointers that I would like to highlight for the winning strategy.
Okay, all right, nice. So it is basically a structured approach. You
Yeah,
do the research, primary as well as secondary, and then you basically get into the frameworks,
significant
devise the
marketing.
solution, and then move on, right? Ayushman, do you have anything else, or do you want to dive into any of these aspects further?
I think for me, like Amir has already covered all the points, but research has been a very critical aspect to any solution to the problem. So what I have generally seen with the B school students is that whenever they are giving a solution, the first slide would show that, we talked to 200 people, we talked to 300 people, we floated a Google survey, and then there were like 400 responses. But when they come to the solution side, it just shows that, maybe that was a fake data, and they just entered the number to just show to the jury. I think what matters the most is the depth of the conversations or the research that they are having. Let's say for HUL, we talked to less than 20 women for our first round, but those conversations were very deep, like for, let's say, 1 hour long, and we targeted different women from different backgrounds so that we can get the knowledge of what actually happens when they are going for a purchase. So I think people should not shy away from going on ground and doing the research. I think I have covered parts of Mumbai, various parts of Mumbai, just to analyze the market and the industry as such. So I think research is very critical. And as Amir pointed out, the financial implication. So in some case studies like HUL, they had clearly mentioned that they did not require us to see it from the financial side of it, because it was a precision marketing plan competition. But for Asian Paints, we had a detailed analysis of how the implication would be. So I was talking to an industry member some time ago for a competition, and let's say I take an example of Marico. So if I'm giving some solution which is totally not their strength, so what would happen is that maybe you would be thinking that this is something that would actually crack the competition, but ultimately that is not their strength. But otherwise, for Marico, let's say you are giving a solution in line with their current portfolio, let's say something related to coconut, that is their strength. Like this, they have all the supply chain of the world for coconuts in India. So I think that is very important when you are giving a final solution to a company.
Okay. And tell me something, when both of you sort of mentioned the emphasis on the research, and especially for, let's say, a primary research, uh, how do you go about doing it? Because, see, not everybody will sort of appreciate you reaching out to them every week or every second week if you're working on too many competitions, right? So, how do you get relevant and authentic responses?
So it is actually a hazy area, but still,
Yeah.
if you want to do something in these competitions, then you have to keep looking for people who could be, whose insights could be useful to you. And then it is important to find the relevant people, as you said. So if you have some problems like that of Colgate or HUL, which are mainly focused on the products for female, then you have to identify the what do you say, if you are able to find some female from your friends or your family, or even from your what do you say, professors, I think that is helpful. And one of the most simplest thing that people do is to do float a Google survey form, but I don't think that really adds value. So you have, one has to put a fight and then try to talk with multiple people. And somehow, if you have already bothered a person who is not responding you, then you have to keep looking for the other resources.
Yeah.
And one of the most important thing, you can reach out to the one can reach out to the corporates also. And if you have some senior who is 2 or 3 years senior to you in your campus and is placed at a company which has floated the competition, they will really provide some good insights about the problems that they're facing, and many times it comes helpful.
Sure. Aishwan?
I think on the similar lines, it is just that you just keep on trying. For HUL, we went to Big Bazaar, we went to Star Bazaar, and we talked to various people there. And when we are floating a Google survey, the questions are already biased because they are made by you. But when you are talking to people, they'll be adding their points. Like for Asian Paints, we got to know so much about the industry from the painters, which we could not actually get to know if we were just floating forms or searching online. So I think what I have seen, the biggest problem is that people going on ground and doing a detailed survey and a research about a particular product. And I think a candidate, as you mentioned, that there are various competitions when at a particular time that you are solving. So a candidate has to be open about the aspect of the research. So I can give you an example. Like I was working on ITC's case, and I went to Matunga in Mumbai, which is far away from Ville Parle, and I was all alone, and I just had to do some survey there because our target audience for ITC was South Indian people. So when I went there, although I was surveying and I was researching for ITC, I saw that there is a store for Asian Paints. So I went there as well because I knew that okay, I'm working on this as well. So I think one has to have that I can say dedication to work around and be flexible around all these things.
Perfect. And I think your networking plays a major role. And
Yeah.
when I was in my B school, you will find some guys who are just into themselves, not talking to anybody. I mean, outside of that 5 or 6 core people. And in a college, you have actually 800 or 1,000 people itself, right? So I think the networking plays a major role when you're deciding this. Amit, you also talked about the frameworks, which are very, very important, because once you get the data from the researchers or so, then you put frameworks on them. Now every framework may not work well for you. Let's say you talked about the 4Ps and all, which are very, very basic framework. But when you're actually doing analysis, have you guys, both of you, and feel free to say no as well, but have you guys
Yeah.
created your own frameworks, which you haven't published anywhere, but it's working for you with respect to the competitions?
No, so for my case, I was my team was not able to create any framework as specific. We relied on the existing frameworks, and that helped us, and that made us the, what do you say, whatever we targeted, and it helped us to achieve that.
Okay.
I would
So
like to
you
listen to
use
us
the
I
finally.
think,
existing
Yeah,
frameworks itself. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. And the
yeah, I
famous
think it
one
is same
being
for
2 by
me.
2
Yeah.
metrics. Okay. Yeah, Ishu.
I think it is same for me.
yeah.
Very basic that you do the research, you spend a lot of time on research, primary and secondary. You get to know what is the customer journey for your product, and then you need gap analysis that you would be doing, and finally, there would be solution and the growth strategy that you would want to implement.
Okay, perfect. Now the next question, I will club one of the question in the comments as well, is regarding the communication skills. Okay, how because when jury is front of you and they are asking you Q&A, you have done all your bit in terms of the PPTs, in terms of your researches and all, and many a times when you're asking or when you have been asked a question from the jury, how do you respond to it? Because I've seen many very excellent people struggle to give answers to jury because they have to frame the answer there and then and analyze what they have already. I mean, analyze the data that they already have. How do you tackle Q&A from the jury members?
Yeah. Ayushman,
Uh,
would you like to take the question?
so, yeah, sure. Uh, I think for me, for both the competitions to which we went to the national finals, our team had already envisaged all the like questions that would be asked by the jury. We were very prepared that okay, if this would be the question that would be coming to us, you will be answering this question. So that was one thing. But again, there can always be a possibility that you were not expecting one question from the jury, and I think it is all about how much depth you have covered about your case, and that should give you competition confidence. But again, when you are standing in front of such senior leaders, there is always nervousness, and you are at that stage. So but I personally believe that it is not just about the communication skills that would matter at that point of time. It is just your confidence, and you have to be confident that okay, whatever you have done, you are prepared for it now.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So in this regard, in this sector, I'm really thankful to my teammates who had on the ground thinking, and we were very much able to take care of the instant problems. But again, it is very important to relate whatever you answer to the queries of the jury to the solutions that you have presented in your solution. Otherwise, if you are take your responses to the questions apart from your solution and in contradiction, then it will be a negative in your case. You have to try to link whatever replies you're giving to just your presentations. I think that is also one of the important skills, because if you contradict them, then it may reduce the chances of excelling in that competition.
So you're playing their minds.
You have to, but
Maybe the question has been put to contradict them. Maybe that might be
yeah,
the
yeah,
case,
that might be the case.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
perfect. So
there are cases, yeah, there are cases when the jury actually try to test your confidence by just asking the same thing that you have mentioned in your
Exactly.
PPT, and if you not follow with your
yeah,
PPT, you may make the mistake.
And I
I
think
think it's not about the thoroughness of the PPT. See, we all work in teams, okay, and many a times where the ball drops is that all three of us, let's say there is a team of 3 members, all of us are working on separate elements of the competition. Okay. So a deep dive into one particular aspect will be, let's say, Ayushman's job. and then the other strategy aspect will be Amir, right? The other aspect that we definitely would want to do as a team is that once we are confident and once we are submitting, we should know in depth about each and everything that all our team members have done. Otherwise, the ball will drop, because if I answer a question on strategy and I have not dived into those data analysis or so, either I put Amir in the front or not answer it. And I've seen people answering when they have actually not dived into those aspects, and that doesn't only happen in competition. That also happens is when you are actually in front of a professor and actually delivering a case study solution in colleges as well. Aishan, you were saying something.
I think I was saying about the previous question that we were discussing, and so it sometimes about the Q&A aspect, you actually let the jury answer you, question you on something that you have created in your case study. So let's say you have proposed a solution, so you actually leave a loop so that you are questioned for that, and that is also a strategy that we followed in Asian Paints, and it actually worked for us. That we were asked a question that we were candidates can work around.
Okay, so you're basically saying that you do that strategy beforehand within the team, that hey, we will talk about this point only to a certain
Exactly.
extent, so that we know that the jury will ask us to detail this out, which is very good.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
now the other thing is that there is always something that actually works for you when you're actually giving a presentation or working on the case competitions or so. And specifically, I'm asking you, Ayushun, because I know that in couple of competitions, you have a habit of creating a prototype when you're actually going for the finale, right? So tell me something, does that really help? Because for me, even if you haven't done anything, at least that will give me a sense as a jury, that may give me a sense that kuch to kiya inhone. They're not here just like that. Correct. So does that play a role? And it can be anything. I mean, it can just be a prototype or something, or maybe few people give out flyers, right? So do you have certain winning mantra in that perspective when you actually go for the jury?
So for when we are discussing about the prototype, obviously there was a sense that this would create an impression on the jury. But having said that, it doesn't mean that you are deviating from other aspects of the case study that are required. The prototypes are just the add-on, so that you can actually explain the jury that this is something that we are looking upon. Let's say for Asian Paints, we actually coded a whole new app for them. Like the application was coded by us, and we took a VR headset for them so that they can visualize what we are planning. But again, the winning team did not have any prototype in Asian Paints, so it was. So it doesn't mean that the prototype is something of like a winning mantra, but definitely it helps you to actually explain what you are wanting to do with the case.
Yeah, and I think it's also a matter of getting their attention. At least with these small things, see, in the end, the content is the true winner, no matter what, right? If you have done your job and if you're explaining them a nice solution, it will always be the winner, undoubtedly. It's just that these elements ensure that you get their attention, so that they're listening to you.
Sure.
We are sort of management students and leaders, right? We know how to get attention, how to create content, and how to deliver it. Amit, is there anything specific that you also do in your competition which make them give you attention?
So in my view, as I have already pointed, so presenting an end-to-end solution is the key. So just to present in the to the corporate that you have thought from all the angles, and you have understanding of all the skills that is required to solve a problem. And obviously, so in Colgate, I remember in third round there was the requirement of submitting prototypes, and we also submitted some prototype. And I also believe that it helps. So it makes the jury feels that you have really thought into the details and what could be the actual solution, actual product that could be designed.
Okay, all right. The other question that I have is that both of you have participated in multiple competitions. Okay, but you have excelled in only few of them. Okay, what is your I mean, there is a saying that you learn from your mistakes and failures. If
Sure.
both of you can actually give users some sort of examples in terms of some deviations or analysis that you did as to why you were not selected in a competition A, made you strong enough to crack competition B. If both of you can give certain examples from your whole journey, maybe one or two, that would be really, really good for the users.
Yeah. So first of all, it is very difficult to actually identify the problem for which you have been rejected, or solution that you have presented to the corporate is not been accepted. But if you are able to talk with the people who have excelled in them, so you will get a certain idea that the areas that you missed, or your research in that area was not up to that much details, or the solution that you have proposed it not actually implementable in the current time frame, or it is a far-fetched dream. So it is difficult to analyze, but again, if you talk to people, you will get to identify the problems. And again, uh, so it is so there will be moments when you have negative energies and you get rejections from multiple competitions, and most of the people who lose their focus and they leave just the competition, that they're not there. What do you say? It is not in their hands to excel in these competitions, and most of us try into 3 or 4 competitions and then lose the hope. But this is the key to maintain the energy and to divert all those negative energies into improving your submissions, improving your proposals to the other competitions. And over a period of time, whenever you get a positive result, it again kicks you again for to the right direction. So getting a positive results also help in maintaining the what do you say journey towards competitions.
Okay, nice, nice. And when I said this, so I also mean that, let's say you were in a finale, and but you didn't make it to the top three. So at that point in time, though the feedback is not shared, but you get a sense in terms of what was different in those top three that we don't have right now, and we will definitely improve the next time. Ayushman?
Sure. So if I take the example for Asian Paints, we had all the prototypes and everything was set, and we were hoping that we are winning the competition, and we were the national runners up with that. So when we were analyzing, I think the one aspect that we could figure out was the feasibility. Like we were giving a solution that we want virtual reality stations at every dealership of Asian Paints, which was quite difficult for Asian Paints to actually go on ground and install for that particular time. And for HUL as well, I think this happened that the feasibility aspect came into play, and it was not a end-to-end solution, as Amir has already pointed out, that we could identify that the winners had actually given an end-to-end solution and we lagged on certain aspects. So I think that is one aspect that candidates should look upon, that you're not giving a solution which is not feasible for the company right now, and you are just aiming for the future.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Now I'll take one audience question again, because many people are asking the same thing. So, how do you manage your time between competitions, your academic curriculum, and maybe the other college stars, especially when you're actually part of a club or the committee? Let's say a place commerce.
So yeah, as you pointed out, for the place commerce, they are not allowed to participate in the competitions in most of the campuses. There may be some specific campuses where they are allowed because they have access to confidential information. So, and yeah, it is very difficult to maintain a balance between the academics and the competitions. But again, so for the current time, let's say in the coming year, in the next academic session, so there are the chances that the other co-curricular activities like live project and exchange programs will be dropped out by the many of the institutes. So in that case, these corporate competitions becomes much more important, and there will be a increased participation in the next year. That is for sure. So the competition will increase, and then again, so one has to, if anyone has to give some pointers, extra pointers to their CV that they have achieved during MBA. So the competitions are one of the best way to showcase your skills that you have acquired during the MBA. So in that case, so one of the things, so there is a particular time frame in most of the, when most of the corporates release their competition, it is during term 5 of I'm not sure about the other colleges because some of the colleges have 4 semesters. So in our colleges, like, we have a mindset: if you are going to participate in competitions, try to take subjects in which you are comfortable, or the subjects which actually will help you in gaining gaining skills which will be helpful in these competitions. So some of us opt for research for marketing decisions because they help you to understand the various marketing research skills that you need to adopt for these competitions. So, but again, it has to be you have to take such subjects in which you are for me it worked. I took a combination of, so I had interest in entrepreneurship and that to social area, so I took subjects like social entrepreneurship and strategy, in which I was comfortable and do not have to give much time to academics. And along with the competitions, I was able to justify with the academics. That is my take.
Okay. What about you, Ashwin?
So I think MBA in itself is a very hectic curriculum, if we say, and you have academics, you have co-curricular activities, and as already mentioned, the placement committee or any other committee. So when we talk about time, I think you just lose sleep. That is the only aspect that you can actually work upon, because you are already doing so much in your MBA life, and I think there were times when I was sleeping 3 to even 48 hours and I was surviving on energy drinks. But that is also a kind of adrenaline that you get, that now you are working upon something, and this should work out. So I can't point out any specific thing how you can manage time. It is just the motivation of the team, and within the team you should, the team members should have such trust, or the thing that you are not feeling that I am working here, I am losing my sleep, and he is maybe working on some academic curriculum activity. This is the most important thing, that everyone is working, and that. So that's how I think the time was managed.
Nice, nice. I have a couple of questions as well, which are basically saying that majority of the competitions are for top 10 to 20 B schools only, and what others will do. So just wanted to reply that there are many other competitions that exist. Only few of them are restricted to top 20, top 10 B schools. But let's say Reliance TUP, the example that we are taking, is open to all. HUL Lime is open to all. Optum that Amir spoke was also pretty much open to all. So there are competitions which are opening up, and especially in these times when they are COVID times, everybody will be going digital, and I'm sure that the companies that only open to select list of like B schools this year, they might be opening it up for all. So there will be ample opportunities. I mean, and on Dare to Compete, 80% plus competitions are pretty much open to all B schools. The other question that I just read in the comments was on the finance competitions. Again, we have seen competitions happening from JP Morgan, from other financial giants as well, ICICI Bank or so, which are open to a good number of B schools. So again, I don't think there's a sort of a lack of competition either in domain or in any B school or segment wise. I think there are good ample competitions that exist at this point in time. Okay. The other question that I see, and again, a couple of guys have asked, is there
Ankit, I would like to
any
add one problem.
material?
Yeah.
Sure.
I would like to add a point. So maybe there are some corporate competitions which are restricted to campuses, but most of the college competitions, they are open to all the campuses. So if you are really have a zeal to participate in the competitions and get some extra points in your CV and to learn new skills, these competitions are also a good source of to participate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there is nothing
And
to lose hope.
on top of it, 99% of all college competitions are on Dare to Compete. Just rest assured, just follow Dare to Compete. You'll have those.
Yeah, this has been a
the
great
the
effort by
other
DTC. Yeah, in compiling all
Yeah.
the competitions across the campuses on a single platform, and it has been like served on a plate to all the students. So they do not have to
Thank
research
you.
on various platforms to find about the competitions. And D2C has really done a remarkable job in this segment.
Thank you so much, Amir. That I'll give a pat on the back to my team. Thank you so much for the kind words. The other thing that I was talking about is, and there are again a couple of questions, is what kind of books, courses, or maybe data sets that you have come across to do the researches, gain knowledge to ensure that you have all the knowledge to tackle a competition.
So for me, the research database that I have already always relied upon has been Euromonitor, Statista, IBEF data, WARC articles to get to know the research papers that have already been published within the industry. And then obviously Google is there. So I think that covers all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ayushman has covered most of Ayushman has covered most of the websites that we can refer, and most of the colleges have associations with these sites, and they provide access to free reports. And one of the other resources that one can look upon is the past report of various consulting agencies like McKinsey, Bain, BCG. They already have a report on those segments, and it will give some insights or some, what do you say, a point to work on where you can just explore into depth, and we will be able to find a solution. So that is also a good source of information and for research.
I think the bottom line is that don't wait for the competition to hit you. I mean, just keep reading about reports or so. It should not happen that, hey, you're now participating in a marketing focused competition, and only now I will read a report from McKinsey which is on marketing or FMCG. So it should be a continuous process as such. Yeah, sorry, Ayushman, you were making a point. Go ahead.
Yeah, just adding to Amir's point that you should always be looking upon the consulting reports. So for Paytm that I have prepared, the presentation that I prepared, I got some good data from RBI. There was a BCG report on how the digital payments would be working. So I think you just find solutions. When you Google it, you get to know, okay, PwC has issued a report on similar lines, or EY has a report already on similar lines. So I think those are always a good help. And as we already mentioned, for stats or for numbers, you can rely upon Statista or Euromonitor.
Yeah. The last question that I'll take from the comments is that everybody will be joining B schools now. They pretty much don't know anybody. And you mentioned that to form a team, you need to have a bond. How do they create that bond in a such short time? And how do you identify the team members for the first few competitions? Is it by luck or it's hit and try?
I think it is hit and try. Yeah, Amir, please take.
No, go on.
Okay. I think in my entire first year, I was just trying with different people. It was hit and trial, it was luck. And only in second year, I could identify, okay, this is the team I can gel up with, I can trust. And so it takes a good amount of time. You're lucky if you, in the beginning, only you identify that these are the people with whom I can actually make a good bond. And I think secondly, maybe you can identify by the dedication that they are showing in academic projects. So if someone has a good record of working upon academic projects, and you feel that they are sincere about their MBA life, so I think that should be a good selection parameter.
Okay, thanks, Amit.
Yeah. So there are two ways to it. Either you can be a team member that could be selected by any team, or you can create your own team. So if you are waiting for a team member, then I think it depends on your luck whether you get selected by someone else. And if you are hoping to create your own team, then you have to take the pain. So for my case, in the first year, I tried with B school competitions mostly. I didn't try for corporate competitions because I didn't have any team. But I tried to work with people, and I tried my luck in B skill competitions like of I am Lucknow, I am Indore, and I actually got to know the requirements of those competitions, that what skills that they look, and what are the people who can be better resource. And in first year, as Ayushman told out, that there are multiple project reports in the academics, and then you get to work with some of the team members, and you get to identify their skills. And even if you are not a part of good team, so you have access to presentation of their final presentation in the class. So you get to know like who is good in which skill and who has made the PPTs. So if you have to, if you are able to gel with them and then try to share your aspirations and motivations and get to know theirs. So it can be helpful, like at the end of like after 6 or 7 months, you try to initiate a talk on this topic, and if the other person is interested, then it will get started.
Awesome. All right. That makes me ask my last question. What is that one Eureka moment that is your adrenaline to carry on with competitions, or the kick that you get to carry on with competitions? That might be while participating in competitions, you won a competition or so. What's that one Eureka moment? And finish it off with one advice to all the students, how they should be going for competitions. Anybody can begin.
Okay.
Ayushman,
So for
you
me,
go first. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, actually, yeah, please, Amir, go ahead.
so for me, the Eureka moment was in my first competition. It was Colgate, and when I was selected for the regional round, so they were selected 30 teams out of 3,000 teams. So it was a really very big boost to me that my solution was being appreciated, and it was selected among the top 30 out of 3,000 teams, and it is really a super achievement. And I think this gave me a big boost and the energy to participate in the competitions. And I'll give a very small advice. So as my teammates used to say, keep the fire in your belly alive throughout the year,
Yeah.
and the zeal to participate in competitions, and you will achieve anything. Maybe it will come in that amount of time, maybe at a later point of time, but you will achieve.
Yeah. And be hooked on to Dare to Compete. Go ahead, Ayushman.
I think for me, the Eureka moment, or I would say the best moment for my MBA was when we won national finale for Asian Paints. We were like first runners up for Asian Paints, and in the evening, I was the campus winner for HUL as well. So I think I had the best sleep that night in my whole MBA, I can say, because you have won two big competitions. HUL is such a prestigious competition, and definitely at the end when we went to the national finale for HUL, so when you realize that you are in the top 12 of out of 25,000 registrations, that is a big moment for any I think B school student. Advice, I think it's the same, that you just have to keep trying. There's a lot of patience that you require. The whole first year, I was just struggling to just crack one case study competition, and I was always thought that maybe there is some formula that I don't know, and I would ask my seniors, and it's just that. And in second year, I just, when I came back from my internship experience at Bain, I was very clear that I need to work hard. I want to get into consulting, and I think I need something on my CV, so for my final placements as well, or for the pre-placement opportunity. So I think I had a good zeal to crack case study competition, and I think it worked out. And even after coming back, my in the second year, my first participation again was a failure in AB and Bev, and then again Asian Paints came up, and then finally we succeeded. So I think perseverance is very, very important throughout your B school career.
Nice. And as I always say, that there are no failures, there are deviations, which sort of make you grow and sort of achieve the future goals as such. Thank you so much, Amir and Ayushman, for joining me. For everybody, because I see some comments or so, whatever this recording will be put on the Dare to Compete channel. You can actually go through, because everybody is asking about the data sets. The sources that Ayushman you have been talking about. So we will send you an email, and this recording itself will be put on Dare to Compete so that you can actually see it. Thank you so much, Ayushman. Thank you so much, Amir. I really enjoyed the whole interaction, and I hope the users also enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ankit, for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.